Here you go. Okay, Introduction to Android Development. Edward Cerullo. Android. According to the Android website, the world's most popular platform. The world's most popular platform. It's Linux-based. It's for mobile devices such as telephones and pads. It is developed by the Open Handset Alliance, which is led by, everybody together? Google. It's open source, yay. And it is maintained by the Android Open Source Project, which is led by Google. Very good. Okay, there's different versions. The first version was called Astro. We were quickly followed by Cupcake, Donut, Eclair, something I can't pronounce, Gingerbread, Honeycomb, Ice Cream Sandwich, and the most recent, Jelly Bean. Okay.
What's the new B?
Jelly Bean?
No, the Astro Cupcake, what's the B?
There was no B. I asked that same question. Yes. So I think somebody was hungry when they came up with this. They couldn't just make version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'd be way too plain.
Yeah.
Froyo. Okay, they have had great success in the market. As of first quarter this year, there were 331 million devices, accounting for 59% of the smartphone market globally. As of June, they have had 400 million activations, with an average activation these days of 1 million per day. Think there's a market out there for some programs? Although, in being an American company, there's lawsuits flying. Oracle now owns Sun, and they say that Google infringed on their patents, and they took it to court, but they lost. However, Microsoft brought suit against several manufacturers, 10 manufacturers in total, including Samsung and HTC. And because Microsoft is so big, they were able to get agreements with these 10 manufacturers. They have to pay Microsoft for use of their patents. And the revenue from these licenses, these 10 hardware manufacturers, account for 55% of the revenue for Android. So 55% of the money spent on Android doesn't go to Google. It goes to Microsoft. There's a word for that. Oh, one more thing. Okay, they also purchased Motorola Mobility for $12.5 billion to secure some more patents. And they bought some patents from IBM for an undisclosed amount of money. I couldn't find out how much money they spent for these 2,500 patents. But, and now they're saying that Oracle, Apple, and Microsoft are trying to beat Android through litigation, through court, rather than by innovation and better product service. There's a word for that. It's called a patent troll.
Funny thing is that, according to what I read a few weeks back, Microsoft is earning more on the patent earnings from Android than they are on Windows Mobile.
That's just something. All right, let's go on. My experience, I have a Sony Ericsson Xperia Arc. It looks very, very nice. The keyboard's really good. I can SMS really fast with both thumbs. However, their documentation is really back. We're up to about version 16, and now their documentation is about version 7. So stuff that should work, it doesn't work that way. The screens they have in their pictures just don't work that way anymore. They dropped the Ericsson name. We saw that coming. And it's just Sony now. So my Sony Ericsson that's less than 12 months old is now an antique. It got thrown against the wall this morning, didn't it, Kristen? I believe.
I heard so.
And their support is poor. I have written so many notes to their support, and they come back. I've given them detail after detail after detail, and they just aren't that good. So the final answer from this guy named Johan in Stockholm was, it works for me. So this is my contribution to helping you decide when you want to buy your next Android device, perhaps you will decide on non-Sony products. Okay, I'm gonna get a t-shirt. Jesper seems to make t-shirts up for everything, so I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says that. Tack så mycket, Sony. Okay, this is what we talked about. You guys have all the prerequisites. We put it out on the site. Dan augmented it so it actually worked. Thank you, Dan. And all the files are out there. Thank you, Dennis. So, start Eclipse. Have you started it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. The way it works, there's an Android program skeleton, and the skeleton allows you to insert your code at different points. Within the program, which is called an activity, there are multiple methods, which are, in other words, subroutines. There's a subroutine for onCreate, when the program is created, onStart, when the program starts, onRestart, let's say your phone goes dark and then you restart a program, onResume, say you changed to a different application and came back, on pause, you hit the pause button in a game or something, on stop, when it ends, and on destroy at the very end of the program when it cleans up its memory. So you can, this is an example of a real program where within the activity you have different onCreate, onStart, and onRestart methods. So this is how you intersperse the bits of code together. You of course can have activities that call other activities, but within an activity you have different methods. And the override says override the existing method. Well, the existing methods are blank. They just are start and stop. So for example, this one, it has a super onCreate statement, a setContentView statement. In the original, it probably didn't have that. It just had nothing. This is the Android program skeleton that shows how things work. It's a little fuzzy. This green is a little wrinkly. We need to iron it or something. So onCreate, onStart, onResume, onRestart, onPause, onStop, onDestroy. You can see how it moves back and forth. And when you start playing with this, it actually does make sense. And it works real well. Okay, so grab your laptops. All one of you. Dennis? Yeah, okay, do this together. Do a file, okay, within Eclipse, do a file new, Android project.
Should there be an Android?
Could be under other if you haven't done it before.
Ah. That one?
Just an Android project.
Activity? Maybe?
No,
Interesting.
yeah, try activity. See what happens.
Application project.
Yeah, try that. Maybe you've got a different version than what I have. Okay, that's right. It's not the same. It's not the same for me.
Didn't you just reinstall?
Well,
Android project, yeah.
you see Android project?
Yeah.
No, but you have it.
Yeah, I have it.
We don't.
It's the same logo, so.
Okay, try to see if we get to the next screen, which is this one.
Yeah.
Prompts for project
no,
name.
it says Android app.
A little different. Okay, well let's at least go through this. We'll pretend this works, or else I can get my other laptop. Well, I haven't actually tried to do a program on it. Well, let's go through it and then we'll try and do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you create here we created one called High Burden, and then click Next, and then we selected a build target, which was, this is the Android virtual device that allows you to build a program and run it on your screen without having to actually transmit it to the phone. It's really easy to crash these phones. If you send a program down, it tested a lot on your laptop before you actually send it to them.
So it is not running in some sort of sandbox on the phone?
You could do that. What I did is I got a Samsung at home that I use as my sandbox. So I do it first on my laptop, then I put it to the Samsung, then I recompile it for Sony Ericsson and send it to the Sony Ericsson.
Okay.
So I'm trying to keep the phone that I use every day, because I use this phone as a phone, a camera, my bus ticket. I try and keep it as program free as possible. Okay, and then they have this standard, and maybe you can explain it to me, where they take a web address and reverse it. So it's com.android.program name.
But it's not really an URL like that, it's a namespace.
It's a Java thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the book, and that's the book, it just said do it this way, so I have it. Okay, and then it creates the program here. You can see it in the Package Explorer on the left. We open these, what did we figure we were calling these? Twisters. We open this up, and you can actually see the Java program. Here's the Java program that it creates. Impressive. Okay, so what it's doing, here's the activity. It brings in the onCreate method, and then just puts, it says the layout, which is the actual screen layout, it defaults to something called main. And it also creates a screen layout called main that's just blank. So then we go into what is a widget. Definition of a widget, it's a program. A program that performs some simple functions such as providing a weather report, a stock quote. It can be accessed from a computer desktop, a web page, a mobile phone, or a subscription television service, and it's a GUI element. So let's say we want to do a hello world program. What we do is we add a android.widget.text view, and we add a couple lines of code that actually executes. Says text view equals a new text view, this. Then we text view set text equals hello world. And then we run the program. And as an Android application, it magically comes up with a virtual device and says, hello world. Yes, great. Okay, that's a first start. We can do that on my laptop. Just try it out. Then you can move around on the desktop on the same as, it's supposed to look just like the phone. So you can move around, there are functions on it, you can click down here and you can see the programs. Once it gets installed, it stays in the memory of the phone or the virtual device. So now let's try and change this. We want to change the font. Okay? I found a font called Denmark. So I downloaded it and I created a directory here called, within the assets directory called fonts, and I downloaded this denmark.ttf font. Then I added a couple lines of code to the program. I added an import Android graphics typeface, which is something I found in the Android developers website. And then here I said, okay, typeface is going to be set to an object called TF typeface. And it's going to be created from get assets, a directory called fonts, and denmark.ttf. Okay, then I said, okay, set my typeface equal TF, and then did the same hello world. And there you can see the original, and there you can see the modified, side by side. That's pretty clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I wanted to create a menu. And what do you do with a menu? You create a menu, you build a menu, you set up a menu. In Android speak, you inflate a menu. So what we did is I created a subdirectory called menu, and I created some IDs. Android @+ID means add 1 to the current ID. The current ID is 0, so I did a +1 and set it to the text of equal ONE. Then I did one more +1 and called it TWO. I did one more +1, called it THREE. So you can refer to IDs in Android. If you refer to an object called an ID and say ID1, it will say ID1 equals ONE, the way I have this defined. You can either identify variables or anything, objects. You can identify them as IDs, you can identify them as numbers, or you can identify them as names. So it's how you refer to the things you have defined within your program. So then I added a couple more. Android View Menu, Android View Menu Inflator, Android view menu item, and I created another widget called, or I added another widget called Toast. What Toast is, Toast, cute name, Toast. Toast is a pop-up. So if you call, sorry, it goes Toast. So what I did here is I said, okay, add these in, and then I added a couple routines, methods that said here, on create options menu, inflator equals get menu inflator, inflate menu menu. So I use the word menu, 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 menu. Case is important. And notice how I colored some of the things because it made them objects. Then I said, okay, if the ID is equal to ONE, you pressed option 1, and it goes, woo, you pressed option 1, goes back down. If you press a 2, it says you pressed option 2, woo, woo. Same with option 3. So, let's try and look at this. So I said, hello world, then I pressed the menu button over here, and when the menu button pressed, I got a little menu down at the bottom. And then I pressed something, I can't remember, I guess I pressed 2, and we did that. Okay, so let's...
The menu has a default placement.
Yeah, there are more complex menus. This is the simplest menu. This is something we did with, a handful of lines of code.
But you can probably move it around by changing options for it or something.
You can, and especially when you start building the resources, because the way you put things on the screen, you can send it to like an XY coordinate, or you can send it to like a relative coordinate, like behind this object is below this item, or this object is to the right of this object, or this item is to the left of this object. So you can do exact placement with DPI, or you can. I just thought of that.
But you would probably use relative placement because you can run on different sizes of screens.
There's the problem, because different sizes of screens actually place things differently, because sometimes they have a maximum. And if their maximum is this wide as opposed to one that's this wide, it'll scroll funny. Oh. So that's why sometimes if you're looking in the Android App Store, it'll say runs good on Samsung but doesn't run too well on IHC or something like that. So that is where the fascist Apple empire excels better, because if you run one on one device, it always runs on the other device. But they are different. The other thing you have to do is when you compile the program, you have to compile it for the different hardware vendors. So you can have one source and 5 different objects, one for Samsung, one for Sony, Ericsson, one for whatever. So that's a little different. I fear that a bit. Usually it's one source, one object, but here you can have multiple objects for one source. All right, now I'm going to close this and try and save as much memory as I can. Please close. And we're going to try and run this thing. Okay, this is our Haven. This is the trouble I had yesterday. My PC just sort of died.
Initialization.
Right, load now.
Yeah.
Did you find the?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Here in the source directory, it has created a Java file. And it usually just,
You need more memory.
I need more memory, yeah. There. Okay, what we're going to do, we're just going to run this as it is. We should have rebooted it. I think OpenOffice maybe takes some extra memory or something.
It does.
But I closed it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Windows.
Ah. Okay, you've got me there.
Why are you on Windows?
I need to be for my customers. It's the requirement in the business world. You just can't. I couldn't walk in and say, I have a free BSD computer. How can I, how can I work for you for this? they'll be just like, you know.
Try hitting the buttons again.
It hasn't froze, so you just have to press it again.
Interesting.
Is it the right shortcut?
What?
If you're
It's,
typing shortcut.
yeah, there, thank you. Okay, so it just
That's stuff.
does stuff. Yeah. You can also turn this horizontally if you want to emulate a pad. Right now I'm emulating a Samsung Galaxy because I've not gotten the emulator to work for my Sony Ericsson device and didn't get any help from Sony Ericsson.
So does the virtual device know all the phone models, or how do you get that to work?
You can download it.
Okay.
The manufacturers have their own websites. You can download the stuff too.
Okay.
That's stuff from.
So the phone is, the emulator is booting up the phone.
Yeah, it's as if you're using a phone, and that's good for testing. Like I said, I've got a Samsung at home, and I put it on there first, and then recompile it and put it on there because I don't want to kill this when I use this, you know.
So when you put things to market, do you upload all the different compiled versions then?
The only things I've been doing is for friends and family, so I've been putting it to the Android market with a private customer base.
Yeah.
I haven't actually put it out for.
But you still have to upload all the different.
I put it out for the you know, like I did I'll show you a program I did for my cousin. She's a Catholic nun, so I did one for her. That's the 10 Commandments, and I did it for her phone.
Okay.
So
There's no build cluster or something, build service for the marketplace.
Daniel was saying, Dalla, he was saying that with the new version of Jelly Bean that they've done something to improve that you don't have to have as many compiled versions. That maybe they can do it. You can say, okay, I'm compiling for a Samsung pad or a IBM Lenovo ThinkPad or sorry, it's not IBM, Lenovo ThinkPad. Come on. I think really hard.
Have you put the high Latin code on the FTP? The code you written, the example?
No, but I can do that. If we get to figure out what's happening with Dan's
Yeah, but I thought about the red warning I got when I installed
the
software.
security thing.
And now I tried just choose the application project instead. Hey, you need some support library. Okay, install it.
Never takes this long. Come on.
But doesn't most people say that this emulator is quite slow?
On my last PC I only had 1 gig of memory, and I actually had to shut it down, start up the emulator, shut down the emulator, then start up the development tool. So when I bought this PC, I bought it with 2 gig of memory, and thinking, well, it's going to work much better.
2 gigs.
So is it using its disk all the time?
I think it's memory.
But
Let's see if we
Go
can.
kill the open office helper crap.
Control Shift Escape.
did it, what?
Yeah, 64% memory used.
So we're using one of your cores.
No, 65.
It's no open office left out there.
We're
Oh
gonna
yeah, the one that's called S Office. That's actually open
open
office.
office.
Yeah, but it's not really doing
Yeah.
it.
Try and sort the memory use
Yeah, I tried to.
and press show all process for all users.
It's ready now.
Ah, hey, we have something. Okay. Jeez, it never takes that long.
That's all.
It takes. I mean, it's slow, but it's
Det
not.
er stedet på præsen. Og nu er de stadig ikke stedet.
Maybe it just has performance scarpness or something. It's
You know,
Seems like
It's
yeah.
shy.
It's shy. It's charging.
No, it's
Yeah, but it says so.
And it'll automatically start up your widgets.
yeah.
Okay. At some point.
That's embarrassed.
But is it using your hard drive? Because the only way memory two little memory should show it down is if your hard drive is swapping. It's swapping stuff.
Try and go under Øvelser.
Try showing the
Yeah. Yeah, it's swapping.
Yeah. But then again, it says there's 600 and something megabyte.
Yeah,
today.
but Windows doesn't let you use it all.
Will it still swap?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. It's like a.
Well, you have two
okay.
processors. You can
No, as soon as I said that,
It's
so.
use 1.3 gigabytes on your hard drive for storing stuff as well.
Oh, here we go. Wait. It's not responding. No. Wait. I never get this unless I'm running it. Sometimes with the debugger, when you turn on the debugger, it comes up with that.
But now you're emulating Samsung Galaxy. So
Yes.
what version of Android do you get
Well,
in the emulator?
in this case, I think this is version 15, and on my other PC, I just
4.0?
yeah, definitely that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not going back. I'm not going backwards there.
Is that mapping from, you say 4.0 and you say 15 and you're talking about 16 or...
There is something in there. Yeah, there's versions and levels.
Ah, okay.
Well, now tell me something here. It's gonna go. Yeah, I guess I need a new PC for Christmas.
Eclipse wrote something in red. Ah,
It's going dark.
I guess nothing is...
Sight.
But Eclipse wrote something in red in the background.
Oh,
There might be a problem.
launch canceled. Well, it's just confused. Let's just do it again. Let's see if I can. God, just to hit the home key, it's taking. Maybe I should just reboot this thing, or perhaps throw it out the window. So if I do this.
That's the Windows way.
God. What I kept doing yesterday was closing the emulator, so I was thinking today if I kept the emulator open, it would. Oh, that's different.
Something is happening.
That's soon.
Yeah. Okay. Here's.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, it's right
I
there.
do have some apps loaded in that I can hopefully execute. There we go.
Yeah.
There. Yay. Okay.
Cool.
Now I want to hit the menu key, dink, and the menu will pop up here. And if I click 1, the little toast widget will say, "Woo, you pressed option 1." So I created here. I created text. I put font on the text. I put the text out. I created a menu, and I created a little bit of routing that said, once you get a menu, do something. Some of the other things we can do are I did something here where I took pictures and text and put them together in relative positions, and then said, here's a menu, change activity, and I went to a different activity. So there were activities that had methods below them. Here I changed to a different activity. This was an experiment in how to route around. And then I hit another one, and I changed a flag, which is a different method within an activity. Okay, okay. And then I created a way to change back, and then I exited the program.
So you had sort of two activities in the application.
I had two activities in an application, and the first activity had one picture, one text. The second activity had three pictures, three texts. So I was experimenting with routing, and that, like I said, this is the simplest of the menu systems. You can, of course, write any other kind of menu system. Now, let's look at a different program. You saw in that other one how we put some source in, we put a menu into the directory. Now what I did here is I created a directory within the resource directory. These are where all the pictures are, the drawables. And I created a directory called XML, and I created a little XML file called the 10 Commandments. And then I created tags and subtags in it and said, okay, commandment number 1 has a text, commandment number 2 has a text, commandment number 3 has a text. And then, I'm hoping it's here, please. It's just going a little crazy. What I did there. Thank you. Unfortunately, music has stopped. The music has died.
Yep.
Okay. Get back to home, please. I can dial a phone here, but I don't want to.
Hangman.
So you're trying to get to the...
I'm trying to get to the next page.
Yeah. Maybe you should...
Can you use gestures with the mouse?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. If I can get out of this.
If you can get back to the application menu, you can try the arrows on the...
Oh yeah.
on the right. Oh.
That worked well.
What about the button in the middle, like scrolling or something? Isn't that a scroll button?
Pressing down.
There. Almost. There.
Oh, so you can use the cursor like you swipe your finger.
Just like swiping my finger. Yes. Okay, here I took the 10 commandments. I took a picture, and so Mount Sinai, you know, the guy that came down with the 15 commandments, and he broke one. And I put the XML that I read in, I put it into a little scroll bar, which should scroll. There.
But isn't
You should pull up.
if you were swapping with your finger, you would probably pull it up because you want the text to go up.
Ah, you're pretty smart. What are you, a PhD student? Yeah, but so what I did here is I took an XML file that I hand keyed and I just read it in and I put it into a scroll bar on the face of it. So the way the code on this looks, I said here, okay, there's the XML file, and I found that the Java part of this is actually the easiest part because the Java is very clear cut. It's trying to fit it onto the screen and trying to get the difference. It's sort of like HTML when you have relative positions of things on a screen where sometimes they fit together nicely and sometimes they just don't go where I want them to go. So here, I said in the onCreate, I created a table, and then I read the XML file into the table, and then I read the table onto the screen. So it was sort of a multi-step process. And again, I was trying to come up with a program that yes, here I had a. In case we lose the 10 Commandments, it failed to load 10 Commandments. I used to have it say, God has forsaken us. But it's very, I made the code as easy as I could to read, and I threw a lot of comments in there. And so as I read one, I added it to the text, sorry, to the table, text table. And then here's where I actually read through the table and then put it out. So it's pretty clear cut. And what I can do is, if you're doing something similar, you know, you can take little snippets of the code out, and I think everybody in the class I was in shared code. You know, it's like, hey, can you do this? Oh yeah, well, I can do that. And they had a forum to discuss it. The teacher said that my code looked like COBOL. And it looked, I mean, look, I put comment, a lot of people just, you know, instead of doing x equals x plus 1, people would just say x plus plus. And they would just, you know, I don't like the shorthand, I like it to
easy to read.
I like it to be very easy to read. And I try and put, you know, comments in when it doesn't work right, and then I get to the bottom here.
Depends a bit on the language.
I want to show you. There. That's the final. The Eclipse editor puts everything. It indents things pretty nicely. Sometimes it keeps doing auto-completes where I'm typing something and it tries to guess what I'm trying to type. That's a little bit annoying sometimes. You know, I wish it would wait like 3 seconds or something. You know, or if I hit a key that says give me all the possible values. Okay, so this is the code. You can see it's not that much code to get it in. It does 3 things. It reads the XML file, puts it out to a memory table, then takes the memory table and puts it out to the screen. The way the screen is defined, you set up high definition, low definition, and medium definition pictures, depending on the size. Daniel said in the new version that you don't have to do that anymore. He said that it automatically adjusts. In this version, if you want, I had to have different size crucifix, different size mountain, and I had to do that with Photoshop. And then, this is how I define layout. So I said here at the top, I have a linear layout, so it went this way. You can have horizontal layouts, and you can have vertical layouts. I wanted stuff in a line. And then I said relatively, stick an image there, then stick some text there. And then, here's my table. And within it, I had a scroll view that allowed it to scroll past the edge scroll past the edge of the thing, the physical device. You can set scrolls up to go vertically and scrolls up to go horizontally, and you're virtually unlimited. It's how much memory you can load in the thing. I tried, I'll show you the next example where we tried to put things in. See how it nicely indents everything for you? Then there is this graphic design tool that allows you to sort of look at what you're doing. The problem is, in this version, it comes up with a lot of null pointer errors. It just comes up and says, oh, null pointer error. The book says, you know, okay, use the XML, and I'm more comfortable with typing the code myself, so I don't have a problem with that. Then let me close this down a little bit. Am I missing it?
Yeah.
I can't see it from this angle. Okay, and then here there's a directory called values. Part of it, you have to know which directory to put it in. For example, where we changed the font, we put that in the directory in the assets directory. And in the res directory, we created a menu directory. Here in the layout directory, there's something, or here in the res directory, there's a subdirectory called values. And they have a lot of XML stuff where I said, okay, I need an array. This array is the commandment number and the commandment text. Then I wanted some colors, and I created a number of colors using the numbers, and you can use anything to put in there. I like the fact that I can say, you know, give me a color called version color or something like that. I like being able to use words rather than, you know, # F00. That to me isn't as descriptive.
How do I know which stuff goes into assets and which stuff goes into resources?
You just have to know. It's a little bit cryptic.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
You can't get it with anything. You can't get basically like you want to.
No, and where I called the assets directory and the font directory, when I was doing this yesterday, I misspelled Denmark. I spelled it D-A-N-M-A-R-K. And you would think that it would just come up with something that says, not found. It took me 5 minutes to figure out what the frick was wrong with it, because I had to go through miles and miles and miles of hysteria in these error logs that are just, I mean, it doesn't give you simple errors. Once you get into the debugger, you really have to dig deep and figure out it's, the only thing I've ever experienced that in the same way as WebSphere. WebSphere just gives you hysteria in pages and pages and pages for something wrong.
You get 200 lines of stack traces.
Yeah, it's just it's amazing that you know you have to pull back the curtains and find out what you're doing. Then this is one of the strange things here. Let's say I have a string and I want the string to be called commandment. Well, I would think instead of putting the name in quotes, I would put the like this one. Oh yeah, here. No commandments to show. God has forsaken us. So if we found no 10 commandments, it'll put out this text. Unfortunately, if you use special characters like the ampersand or a backslash or something, it goes crazy. You can't even use a single quotation mark within the double quotation marks. It goes. I've tried experimenting different ways of doing it.
Can't you put a C data mark in it and do it?
Yeah. Yes.
A what?
C data?
You can specify the ASCII code of something to put in, and it seems to work, but it wasn't the most obvious way to do something.
Well, that's standard XML.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So close this. Close colors. Yeah, I can look at my screen, can't I? Makes it much easier than seeing that. Okay, then what I did, I'll show you the code to this because I can't actually run it at the moment. Let's close this because I think it's working now. And this is an application called Weather. And what I did So this was an XML file where I hard coded the XML file and said, here, display that in the memory, and then take the memory and put it on the screen. This one is what everybody in Norway loves to use. It's the weather report. Because
it's the best weather precisely. It's better than DMI.
Is it?
Sometimes, yeah. But
I was talking to this old guy, and he said what they used to do is they had all these old warships that they would anchor off the coast, and some guy would get out with a pair of binoculars and look at what the weather was like.
They have local weather reports for this place.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let's see if we can find a KL.
Oh, just write Brining.
No.
Yeah,
For
you can.
Does it know finding it?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Did I spell it wrong?
No, it's correct.
South Denmark.
That might not be the right one.
Do we get a map on?
That says it's sunny. Uh-oh. 22 and raining, that's going to be miserable. But what it has on it, down here is,
Seriously?
Oh, it has it in XML.
And it's free?
and it's free. There is a little warning here. They've had some problems where I guess everybody in Norway who's taken an Android course uses this, and they've had some denial of service issues. So what we did is I just went up to this address, and I built the address from in this case it's Telemark. Yeah. Oh, it's even in New Norsk. That's the most annoying language. You build up the string, you go out there, you download your XML file, load the XML file into memory, load the memory onto the screen. So what I did is I created an actual weather report that used this, and it's just...
Can you ask it for like the whole country?
You can ask it for fylkes. Let's see what we can find.
It could actually be fun to take the data from DMI and this and compare them, make an app that like made a chart of it.
Maybe found the average.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of the two.
Okay, it said land and time zone, so you can probably get a whole country in there, depending on how you create the string. But what I did, the key is I took an XML file that was somewhere else, I brought it into my phone, or my emulator, and then I brought it into a table, and then displayed the table on the screen. So that was sort of fun. Then I said, okay, I got to do some more. You need something a little bit more. That was bringing something from a website onto my phone. So then I wanted something that went the other way, where...
You wanted to bring something from your phone to the internet?
Exactly. And so what I did is I set up a little server, and I set up an address, and George helped me not to do these things.
So you made a server on your phone?
No, I made a server on a PC,
Okay, yeah.
And then I attached it. George did some magic, and then we had a big argument too. He kept saying, you can't use the IP address. And I was like, it's my server. I can use the IP address and the name. He said, no, you're not. You can't use the IP address. You have to have these DNSs and the names and things. I said, but it's my server. I can call it whatever I want. He got really mad at me, and I said, I'm not running a porno site. I don't want people to get to my server. Then he got mad at me. Don't repeat this. It's just. We have opinions, mere mortals, we have opinions. George has facts.
It's on video.
It's what?
It's on video. Video?
But it's
No, I mean, he really got mad at me about using the IP address, and told me how he laughs at people who do things like that, but it was just a one-shot deal.
Because you use the IP in the URL?
Yes. I use the IP as the URL.
But if it's a personal application,
Yeah,
just for
and if it's a service you're running, many people do that. Many.
Of course, it would be some kind of, it would be beautiful to do it with DNS records and stuff, but if you're only developing,
Yeah, but still, people can just look up the DNS and get
it might be a private machine on a private network, so it's not the...
That's actually what I had. I had a private machine that I rented on a private network.
An non-public IP, so...
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of the geeks at this camp wants to do things the right way, and
Yeah. I
This is
fully
one of them.
understand. Yeah, I fully understand what he was saying, but this, okay, here, I was trying to come up with different ways of collecting data. Hi.
It's time for this, and if you want to make
Okay.
a break and
Well,
do the
what's-
finish,
We'll finish in 2 minutes.
just close the camera.
Okay, this one, what I tried to do is I tried to come up with different ways of collecting data. So I created a scroll box that was vertical, and then I created a little drop-down box here that said I can, pick what department let's say I'm buying something for. You can pick today's date by doing some little scroll bars. So I could say, okay, I purchased this on some date and set it.
so it's a return form.
Yeah, it's a return form for, and then this is what I want to buy. I want to buy a new laptop with lots of memory, and I can put a price, and I can set it to a data dictionary. Let's say, probably wouldn't work on that. I can make an item number on it, but I did it here on my name. Well, okay. Then I did here there. So this is Martin Croft. And then I set up, it doesn't work now because I don't have connection, but then what I did is I transmitted it into my server by saying the URL and then parameterizing each with a ampersand and a something or other. And I was able to catch it on the other side and do something with it.
So then you had an HTTP get.
Yes. I stole the code. It was Java code that I wrote on my little server, and I stole it from the teacher in the class because he had something similar. So I just sort of stole it, and I figured out how to compile the Java program. It wasn't anything. Anything too fancy, but it worked. I was actually rather thrilled. So I've been able to get two-way communication down to my phone and from my phone up to something. Let's do one more thing. I want to show you how on this one, I had to create a game. So I came up with Hangman, and what I wanted Hangman to be in, I wanted to use the same XML. So here, I had an XML file called fishes, and here I had fish called salmon, cod, and halibut. And here, I created an XML directory. This is what you're asking, how do you know what to name these things? Well, you just sort of have to look it up in the book. I created an XML directory called Norska Bookmall, and they've got all these different definitions of what you do. And here, in the Norska Bookmall, I created Lox Torsken Kite. So depending on what version you want to play of Hangman, you can either play it in Norwegian or in English. And you can easily, this is one of the real nice features of this, is you can set it up for international everything. You can have different time zones, different languages, different countries, different...
So could you also make like a config file specifically for like a special phone? So when you compile it, figure out stuff that. Okay.
You could set up for a special kind of phone or a special language on the phone.
Yeah.
So, and then I did the same thing here in the values. You can see here with these strings. Notice how with no language, it's English. But for any of those other foreign languages, you have to specify something. So for here, you can see all the words are in English. And then if you look at the same file, the same strings file, within the values-nb, all the words are in Checkmeganing, you know. So they're getting flagged for Sprock. So it's just, if you want to make it different languages, you just create it in a different subdirectory. Great. Well, thank you guys for coming. I hope we can.
I found a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned find it in the book. Do you have any good sources for information on programming?
The Android developers site. I'm going to close this so maybe I can put some internet. Disconnect. Stop. Okay. Please open in a timely manner. Android.com, and there's also AndroidDevelopers.com. AndroidDevelopers.com has every single opcode explained in the 1,000th detail, minuscule detail. I mean, they've taken everything that everybody complains about Microsoft, saying that their help screens are crap, to they've taken it to the absolute. I mean, just millions and millions and millions of words. But to find anything, that makes it actually a little. If you have a simple question like how does text view work, you know, give me an example of text view. It's probably not a great place to look for it in Android developers. But if you're looking for one specific parameter, it works. The other thing that works pretty well is Stack Overflow. So let's try. Yeah, how to change text. Stack Overflow. One thing about Stack Overflow, though, there's a lot of people who are total newbies and a lot of people who are gurus. And sometimes these people ask these annoying little questions, and usually if it starts out, if the note starts out with, "Hi, I am new to Android," just don't read it. You're wasting your time. Or if the other thing I really hate is when they say, "Thanks in advance." No, if someone takes the time to give you an answer, write them a thank you note. You know, don't say thanks in advance. That's just, it's just not polite. But yeah.
But one of the good things about Stack Overflow is that the answers are graded.
Yeah, that really is nice. I give you a +1 if you answered the question or something like that. But they work very well, and I've stolen lots of code from places like that. Of course, everybody does. Borrowed, shared. You know, but I've created quite a little library of operation codes that I've tried to create as an examples, like date handling. I've got tons of string handling. The Hangman game was all about string handling. So I've got quite a few things that I have, and I have some ideas on how to put them together. Great. Does this help? You get a little. It looks a little messed up, but once you break it down and figure out what it is in detail, and the hardest part is putting it on the screen. Putting the objects in the right place, but we've done it with HTML, so it's sort of the same.
Now we just need to get Eclipse to work.
Now we need to get Eclipse to work. We can do that after. Great. Well, thank you. Yeah, we cut off that part about George. I forgot about that.